Online.
Okay, so to start our series about oral presentation, today we're just talking about what is an oral presentation and how do we prepare for that. So, oral. Oral means referring to the mouth. Oral health, oral hygiene. Oral is about the mouth, it's about speaking. A presentation is giving something to someone. So an oral presentation is about giving information through a speech. It's what I'm doing right now. I actually am giving you an oral presentation. I have something. It is knowledge, it is tips, it is strategies about being a university student, and I am speaking so that I can give that knowledge to you. Oral presentation is about communicating. To do an oral presentation, you need a communicator, a sender, which is me right now, and receivers, which is all of you. I have something and I'm trying to find the way to give that information to you through my body language, through the words that I'm using, through my tone of voice, through my face, and through the visuals, through the PowerPoint that I'm using. Oral presentation is all about communicating information to make sure that you have the information that I want you to have. When I give an oral presentation, I have a goal. I have something that I want to accomplish through my oral presentation, and I give you the information to accomplish that goal. I do my oral presentation, I conduct my oral presentation in a way that you get the things that I want you to get, that you do the things that I want you to do. That is oral presentation. So, who presents? Who does oral presentations? Well, to start off with, students. You will do oral presentations in your class. I'm sure that you've already done oral presentations before in high school or even before that, as a part of a project, as a part of a final. Oral presentations are something that students are always doing. I remember doing oral presentations during my time at university. You will definitely do plenty of oral presentations during your time at university, so I hope you're excited for that. Another person that does oral presentation is teachers. I am orally presenting right now. Teachers orally present, they do oral presentations in front of their classrooms. So teachers are orally presenting, they're communicating information to their students. Next, a job that I know a lot of students that I have want to do in the future, flight attendants. Flight attendants have to communicate in front of big groups of people. They need to communicate with all of their passengers on a plane. So if you were hoping to get away from oral presentations by being a flight attendant, I am sorry to let you know that flight attendants are all about oral presentations. Who else? Business owners, business people in meetings when they're interacting with clients, when they're interacting with customers. Those are oral presentations. They are trying to give people information by talking to them. So business people, business owners are also doing oral presentations. And who else? Literally everybody. Everybody does oral presentations in some capacity in their work, in their lives. And so the skills that we are learning in oral presentation are going to be helpful for everybody. So I hope that you can learn a little bit from what we're learning today. So one thing that students tell me when I give them an oral presentation is that it's hard, is that they're embarrassed, is that they're scared, they're too excited. Nobody wants to do oral presentations because of the anxiety that you get before you do oral presentations. So why is that? Why don't we like oral presentations? Well, there's a few reasons. The first is the fear of making mistakes. We are all afraid when we get up in front of a group of people that we're going to say something wrong, especially when that presentation is not in our first language. And so if your first language is not English and you are required to give a presentation in English, that's scary because we are afraid that we are going to say something wrong and that when we say the wrong thing, we're not going to be able to continue. We'll forget everything. We will freeze. And that sucks and that's scary. That's one of the reasons why oral presentation is hard, this fear of making mistakes. Next, fear of being the center of attention. Some people love to be on stage. Some people love to be at the front of the classroom. Some people love to be the center of attention. But for a lot of people, standing in a classroom or standing in a place where everybody is looking at them can be really scary. And that can cause you to get really anxious. Your palms start sweating. You forget your words. You forget everything that you've prepared. Being the center of attention is hard for some people, but there are ways that you can work on that. When you practice your oral presentation, you should prepare in front of other people. You should give your presentation to your friends or to your family. You should give it to people that you don't know so that you can practice talking in front of people, so that when you're presenting in front of a classroom, it doesn't feel so scary. Next, fear of disagreement. One thing that people are afraid of when they give presentations is a fear of conflict. I'm afraid that I will say something and you won't believe me, or that you will disagree with me, or that you will challenge me. You will ask me a question and I'm not prepared for that question. So the best way to prepare to fight that fear of disagreement is to make sure that you really believe in what you're talking about, that you really understand your topic, so that when somebody does ask you a question or does challenge you, you can respond to that. Another thing is, it's okay to not know. If somebody says they disagree with you, you can tell them that you want to think about that more, that you're confident in your ideas, but that you're still learning, and that you want to think about what they have said, or what their perspective even more as you move forward. But honestly, the best way to respond to all of these fears, to think about oral presentation's hard, and the best way to make it a little bit easier is just to practice. Practicing your presentation, making sure that you get enough time to practice, is really important and helps you deal with that speech anxiety. Other things that help are constantly moving. When you are giving a presentation, before you give a presentation, don't just sit still. Try to move around. Get up, shake your legs, shake your body out so that you feel warmer. Another way to deal with speech anxiety is to actually use it. When you are anxious, when you are feeling these fears, that gives you energy. And energy is really important for making a good presentation. So how can you control those fears? How can you control the energy that you have to make sure that you're using it positively for your presentation? One mistake that I see a lot when my students give oral presentations is they stand up in front of the classroom and they have clearly not prepared. Most of your presentation, most of the time that you spend on your presentation is preparation. A good presentation doesn't happen the night before or 2 nights before you need to give it. A good presentation takes time, and it's many steps. So what are those steps? The first step to a good presentation is choosing a topic, is understanding your topic, is having a clear idea of what the scope of your presentation is. Have a topic and make it narrow. It's okay to have a really specific presentation. Sometimes when my topic is so big, it's too big and the presentation is not interesting and I can't say anything meaningful. So choose a topic. See if you can state your topic in one sentence. What are you doing a presentation about? Why are you doing this presentation? After you've chosen your topic, you should identify what's your purpose. Why are you giving this presentation? Often you are giving a presentation because somebody told you to give the presentation, because your teacher has given you homework, or because it's part of a final. That is why you are doing the assignment, but it is not the purpose of your presentation. The purpose is, what do you want your audience to take away from this presentation? What do you want your audience to do? Are you trying to persuade them to do something? Are you trying to entertain them? Are you just trying to give them information? But why are you doing this presentation? Identify the purpose of your presentation so that you know you have a direction moving forward for what kind of information are you trying to find and give to your audience. Next, gather materials. This is really important. This is your brainstorming phase. This is when you are trying to figure out what are all the ideas that you want to express. What do you know? This is the research phase. What do you want to know? What do you need to find out? This is when you go look at the internet. You search your topic in Google. You find all of these other sources, these news articles, these newspapers, you ask friends, you talk to friends about everything that you could possibly talk about this topic. And you put it all on the paper. You're not editing yet. Gathering information or gathering material is all about everything, putting it all in one place so that you can see everything that you have. After you have everything in one place, after you've written down everything that you can think of, after you've done the research about this topic, then you start editing. Your next step is outlining, is organizing, is choosing a structure for your presentation. Looking at the information that I've gathered, looking at the material that I have, the examples, the statistics, the research that I've done, the quotes. What's important? What are my main ideas? How can I organize this into 2 or 3 or 4 sections? What are those sections? When I outline something, I'm not creating a script. Often, when I ask my students why presentation is so difficult, they tell me, I'm afraid I will forget my script. You shouldn't be writing a script in the first place. If you don't have a script, you won't forget your script. When you write a script, you're focusing on the language. You're not trying to communicate information. You get caught up in, I forget what this sentence is. I forget how I'm supposed to say this. And you forget about the information that you're trying to communicate. Instead of writing a script, write an outline. Write your main ideas. Write your key points. That way, you're not trying to read something. You're trying to communicate information that you know is connected, and is connected in this way. When you write your outline, you should think about what is the most effective way to structure this argument? What is the most effective way to accomplish my purpose, to have a successful presentation? It needs to be this first, and then this, and then this. Because this connects to that, and that connects to this last thing. That's what you write in your outline. And then when you know the structure and it makes sense, it'll be a lot easier to present, and you won't forget your script because you didn't write one. After you've written your outline and you have the main structure, now you can start working on your visuals. You can prepare your PowerPoint, your Prezi, or maybe you have a poster even. Your visuals are an important part of your presentation, but that comes at the end. So after you've already structured, I'm talking about this topic, and then this topic, and then this topic. These are my details. Then you create the PowerPoint. And that's exactly how I created this, actually. I started with topics, I started with main ideas, and then I went into the details for each main idea, and then I created a PowerPoint with that, which is what we're watching right now. So your PowerPoint, or your visuals, come at the end. And then last, and perhaps the most important step of all, practice. Practice, 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 and revise. Why do we practice? We practice to check our information, to see what's difficult, to work through the parts that are difficult, to make sure that I'm correcting the mistakes as I'm going, to check how long the presentation is. Maybe for this final, I need to have a 5-minute presentation, and when I practice, I find out that it's 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, or 2 minutes. And I start to realize I need to change some things, so I revise. I go back and I add more information. I go back and I move things around. I move this idea to the beginning, this idea to the end. I go and find new things. So I go back to the earlier steps after I've already done everything. These are the steps to a successful presentation. This is how you will make sure that you are writing presentations in a way that is effective, instead of freaking out at the last minute and trying to throw everything together the day before. These are the steps that you should be going through every time you have a presentation. And these are the steps that we will be reviewing as we move forward with all the rest of the oral presentation, sessions. So that's a little bit about oral presentation. What is it? How do you do it? You will be doing oral presentations at university, and you'll probably be doing them a lot. And so it would be good to have some of these tips in mind. For the rest of the sessions, we have 4 more left. We're going to be going into a little more specifically, a little more focused on each of these steps and on different skills that will help you create good presentations. I hope this has been helpful, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again next time.